Thank you for joining us tonight. This webinar will be recorded. And if we are not able to get to any of your questions, please feel free to email myself and I will get them back to Ella at Outward Bound. And you all may put the questions in the Q&A. The chat will not be open, but if you have anything additional that you need to say, you can also put that in the Q&A.
All right. Am I good to get started then, Alexis?
You are.
All right. Let me just share this presentation with you all and we'll get things going. All righty. Alexis, can you confirm that everyone is able to see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. My name is Eleanor or Ella. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at Outward Bound Costa Rica. We operate gap year and semester as well as summer programs in both Costa Rica and Panama, doing a pretty wide variety of activities. So I'm going to give you guys kind of an overview of what we do. And I was going to be joined by my coworker Michaela today, but she was unable to make it because she had to go back to London and it is midnight there right now. So I said, don't worry about it. So just to start off, this are some photos here of where our Rainforest Base is located. So in the bottom left, that photo is actually of the office that I work in every day. And that gate in the top left corner is the gate that goes down into our Rainforest Base. So any of the programs that you would sign up for with Outward Bound Costa Rica begin here where you see all of these pictures. So not a bad place to start out. It is truly stunning here in the rainforest, to say the least. And so you may have heard of Outward Bound. It is an internationally recognized organization. Outward Bound Costa Rica has been in operation since the mid-90s. And what we're really about here is allowing students to discover their hidden potential through things like leaving their comfort zone, entering their growth zone, learning about leadership development, what it's like to sort of live in community. And we always, always, always emphasize reflection in our programming as well, because you don't learn if you don't reflect on the things that you have done. So going along with that, this Venn diagram sort of showcases what we aim to do with our participants and how those things kind of all come together through the people, the places, and the processes. So what we really focus on is an experiential outdoor education model. So as opposed to sitting in a classroom, taking notes, maybe reading a book and learning that way, we put you out in the field doing an activity and learning those hard skills. But we don't forget the soft skills, of course, so maybe one day you'll wake up and do whitewater rafting in the morning, but in the afternoon, maybe there'll be a session on conflict resolution. So we make sure that, we are giving our participants a really well-rounded experience. So we have 3 main semester programs that we offer, and these are our residential gap semester, our coast to coast expedition, and our outdoor leadership semester. I'll go into more details about these in just a bit, but our coast to coast expedition and outdoor leadership semester are pretty similar and are usually run as a conjoined program. And then our residential gap semester varies from those two, but so there are different options. For the residential gap semester, you can do 35 or 65 days. The outdoor leadership semester is 65 days, and then the coast to coast expedition is 85 days. And it is a requirement of this program that you are a high school graduate. So you can see here on this map of Costa Rica and Panama, some of the different locations that we'll bring you to throughout your course. For example, all of our scuba diving that we do, which is a module in every single one of those semesters, we do in Panama and Bocas del Toro. So you can see those little islands off on the Caribbean side of Panama where the flippers are. That's where we would bring you for that. The main compass in the center, that's where the Rainforest Base is, where I am right now. We're about an hour or so from the San Jose airport, in this nice little microclimate of a rainforest that is just beautiful. And then you can also see on the Pacific side where it says Manuel Antonio Beach Base. That is another base that we have here at Outward Bound. So if you're in like the surfing portion of the program, something, you might be staying there. So this is just kind of an overview of the 3 different semesters, highlighting some of the main parts of it. We do offer academic credit for these semesters through Western Colorado University. I'll go into a bit more detail regarding that later. But you can see the number of certifications that you can receive from these programs, community service hours that you can log for these as well, and just sort of the main focus of them. So to go into a bit more detail about our outdoor leadership semester, so this is really focused on being out in the field and doing activities and learning through experience. So by doing this outdoor leadership semester, you'll be eligible to receive a wilderness first responder certification, CPR and first aid, whitewater raft guide, all sorts of things like that. All 3 of our all 3 of our semester programs give you the opportunity to become scuba certified. Basic open water certification if you've never been scuba diving before, or if you already have your open water certification, you're eligible to get your advanced certification as well. So yeah, you can see some pictures here of students out and about doing things, lots of very adventure-based activities that are super fun. And for both our outdoor leadership semester and our coast to coast expedition, the students that participate in both the fall and spring semester then become eligible for a summer internship with us. So during the summer, we offer courses for students ages 14 through 18. And so they have the opportunity to then come back and put a lot of the skills that they learn as a semester student into an internship experience with us over the summer. So coast to coast expedition here, you will receive all of the same certifications that you would if you were participating in the outdoor leadership semester. The main difference between the coast to coast expedition and the outdoor leadership semester is the length of the hike. So everything is the same schedule with OLS, the outdoor leadership semester. The only thing is that if you're an outdoor leadership semester student, then after about 7 or so days of hiking at the end of the semester, you'll be taken back to base, and then the next day you'll fly out. But if you're doing the coast to coast expedition, you're starting on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica and you're walking to the Pacific side of Costa Rica, which I know sounds like a lot, but it is quite a feat and really just a great experience for all of the students that participate in that. It's a really, you get to see some really beautiful parts of the country too, which is awesome. So that is the main difference between those 2 courses, is just the hiking element of that. Now to go over a couple of other phases that are in both the OLS and coast to coast programs. So whitewater rafting is a big part of the first part of the program. You'll be eligible to get your whitewater rafting guide certification up to class 3 certified, and then you'll also be able to receive your whitewater rescue technician certification as well. I was able to join the river phase last semester with our group in the spring, and it was an absolute blast. Then another part, like I mentioned before, is we always start the semester with the wilderness first responder training. So you can see some pictures here of students learning how to make a stretcher out of things that aren't normally a stretcher, or there's someone practicing CPR. That guy's taking that other guy's pulse, but just sort of learning all sorts of things that you would need in wilderness medicine related things. Then I had mentioned before, scuba is a phase for all of our semester programs. Like I said before, this part of the program takes place in Panama, and it is just absolutely breathtaking. You get to experience a number of different communities as well in these islands, and you can have the opportunity to bond with the host family. They have kids that are always happy to see the students. It's really just a great time. Students really, really tend to enjoy this part of the course. And if you're not scuba diving while you're in Panama, then you will be wakeboarding. That's another part that the students tend to really enjoy, just being out on the water and having a good time. Another phase that we have for both of these semester courses is our surf phase. This is usually one of the favorites among students. It is spent largely on the beach, and I think that is why it is among the favorites, but you get to learn surf. It doesn't matter if you have zero experience surfing or if you're a professional level, whatever level you are, we will be able to accommodate you and help you grow in your surfing skills. I had never surfed before coming to Costa Rica, and now I can confidently stand up on the board by myself. So it is a testament to the fact that anyone really can learn to surf, and our instructors are very good, because I did not think I was going to be able to do that. And then, like I had mentioned before, the final phase, hiking, you can see some different parts of the country here. There's plenty of waterfalls along the hike. You might be staying at homestays some nights. You might be tarp camping other nights. Maybe, I think one night when I was on the hike, we were at a homestay, and there was like this man's backyard that we know. He has like a whole lake full of fish, and everyone got to catch their own individual fish, and then we had them for dinner. It was super cool. So one of the nice things about the hike is the homestays, so that you get that sort of like cultural experience as well. And here you can see some quotes just from that we've pulled from student evaluations regarding their course experience. We often find that at the end of the course, students are really full of gratitude for the people that they've met, the connections they've made, and also the growth that they've seen within themselves. So it can be a little bit daunting at first, but if you stick it through to the end, people are usually very proud of themselves and happy with what they've accomplished. So moving on to the residential semester, this looks a little bit different than the outdoor leadership semester and coast to coast semesters. So it is more focused, I would say, on like cultural experiences, and there's a bit more, not necessarily classroom learning, but I'd say it's not as rugged as the outdoor leadership semester and coast to coast expedition. So one element of the coast to coast expedition and outdoor leadership semesters is that we take students' phones as soon as they arrive and keep them in safekeeping locked in the office, but they're not allowed to have any electronics. You're allowed to have a camera to take pictures, but aside from that, no laptops, no iPods, no iPads, no phones. And the idea behind that is that we want students to disconnect in order to reconnect with themselves, the people around them, and their environment as well. That is another thing that, like I said before, students find daunting to begin with, but then after week one, they're like, take my phone, throw it away. I don't even want to see it again. And I'm like, yes, this is good. But so the residential gap semester differs in that students are allowed to have their phones, they're allowed to have their laptops. They will always be sleeping in a bed. The coast to coast expedition and outdoor leadership semester, you might be sleeping on the ground, you might be sleeping on a Z-rest, you might be sleeping in a bunk bed. So it really varies for that one, but with residential, you can be assured that you will always have a mattress as well as access to your electronics. And you can see here some of the different modules that we focus on in this program. as well. And just to give you kind of an idea of the itinerary for the residential semester, these are some different things that we would do with a residential semester group. And so you can see they still do some of the same activities as the outdoor leadership semester and coast to coast expedition. Like there's whitewater rafting, there's scuba diving, things like that. But there's less focus on, I would say, like the certifications and things like that, and more focus on just like environmental and cultural education. And then here is just kind of another little like snippet of what a couple of days might look like in the residential gap semester. I think for the outdoor leadership semester and coast to coast expedition, things are always just kind of like go, go, go all the time, very adventure based. But you can see here in this schedule, like little snippet, that there's like a little more of a relaxed pace to the residential gap semester. And you can see here some sea turtles. A lot of the residential program has a module that focuses on sea turtle conservation as well. So you get the opportunity to see the sea turtles nesting, which is really cool, and help out with that as well. Plenty of little animals, big and small, you can see. And then again, here's just some evaluations that we pulled from the students from previous semesters, speaking to their experience and just how it impacted them. And you can see in the bottom left corner of this photo is Nani. She's our residential program instructor, and she is just like chock full of knowledge when it comes to all things like wildlife related in Costa Rica. Every time I go anywhere with her, she has some whole new thing to explain to me, some entirely new concept I've never heard of, or some animal that I didn't know existed. And like she'll go all in detail about like how vital it is to the ecosystem and how important their role is. And it's really cool just like seeing her in her element instructing this course, because she really, really knows what she's doing. Now, a question that a lot of people have all the time is like, what do I eat when I'm there? Do they only feed me rice and beans? The answer is no. But yes, you will eat a fair amount of rice and beans. But we try to make adjustments to our menu to accommodate the fact that we, people aren't used to eating rice and beans every day, like the typical Costa Rican person might be. So we'll have things like French toast for breakfast. Like we had pancakes this morning. We're having pasta for dinner tonight. You can expect some American meals, or I guess like more United States type meals mixed in with traditional Costa Rican things as well. So like we'll teach you how to make empanadas, which is a very typical Costa Rican thing, or we'll have gallo pinto, which is like the Costa Rican breakfast, which is just eggs and rice and beans and maybe a sausage or some fruit or something. But we always make sure that everyone is accounted for, whatever kind of dietary restriction or need you may have. We are more than happy to accommodate that. That's never been an issue for us, and we provide all 3 square meals a day, as well as cafecito, which is like in Costa Rica, it's like a midday coffee and snack kind of thing. Think like what do they have in England? Afternoon tea, that kind of vibe, but with coffee and an empanada instead. And I had this thought as I was saying this, but just to let you all know, so like food and everything, these are all things that are included in the course tuition. The only things that are not included in your course tuition are going to be your flight, but everything else, the second you get here, we've got you covered. Transportation to and from airport covered, all meals covered. A lot of the equipment, which I'll go over in a second, is something that we have with us as well. So I mentioned before that we do offer academic credit through Western Colorado University. You can get up to 12 course credits. And you can, yeah, like I said, you can do that through them, or you can also do an independent study with your university. But I usually recommend to people just call if you are already enrolled or you know where you want to go to college, or then I would call them, ask them if they accept transfer credits from Western Colorado University. And if they do, then just enroll with us through Western Colorado University, because we've got a partnership with them already established, and it works really well. So yeah, we have a lot of students that like to get credit, and then you know, they might go on to study something like outdoor education or outdoor leadership, things of that nature. Like I mentioned before, there's some equipment that is provided by OBCR. That's things like a duffel bag, Tupperware to eat your food out of, all of the scuba gear we have already, anything for the hike, backpack, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, all of that stuff is things that we have. So I know that, you know, we can't expect you to, of course, to bring all these things with you. So we've got you mostly covered. You just mostly need to bring clothes and a headlamp and snacks. And here we've got some pictures of some places that you might stay during the year semester courses. So I had mentioned earlier our Manuel Antonio base on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. So on the left side of the screen right here, where you see that person waving in the doorway, and then there's that like triangle shaped roof with a fan, that is the base. And it's just a nice spot, close enough to the ocean. And then you can see also here on the right, this is, I want to say this is in Dominicalito. Yeah. And that is part of the surf phase. We stay with a family there, and you get to camp on the beach and wake up and do yoga on the beach. And it is just absolutely stunning. Then we've got some examples of places where people have stayed on the hike before. So sometimes you might be tarp camping, which is where you lay down one tarp and you do one tarp over top in case it rains, and you're good to go. But then you can also see in the bottom left too, like, you know, we do have homestays as well. You're not going to be tarp camping every single night. So kind of varies depending on the route. And then in Panama, the residential gap semester will stay in like a hostel type situation. Oh, it's not a hostel. It's also not a hotel though. Imagine something in between a hotel and a hostel. But then our coast to coast and outdoor leadership semester students, they stay and they camp on this dock of the family that lives on one of these islands. So again, different experiences depending on what you are looking for. Okay, so I wanted to just put it out there that, you know, if you are an NSCS member, then you automatically get a $200 discount off of your tuition for any of our courses. You just have to, and when you fill out our enrollment or inquiry forms, there's a spot where you can say, where did you hear about us? You put NSCS and then boom, you get $200 off. That's it. But I wanted to extend another offer to you all for joining this webinar today as a way of saying thank you. So you can double your discount, well, even more than double, if you add the code SPRING500 to your enrollment before the end of this month, and we'll add another $300 off of your course tuition. So maybe take a picture of that so you don't forget the code. And then we've got our contact information here as well. So any questions you have regarding the semester programs, I know that was a lot of information all at once. You can reach out to us via the semester email. I'll be looking in the inbox tomorrow morning if there's anything urgent that you're looking for. But yeah, that about wraps up the presentation that I have. And I'm wondering now, does anyone have any questions that I can answer for them? Stop sharing.
So we do have two questions.
Okay.
The first question is there an age? Is the age requirement the same across all of the different courses?
Yes, great question. The age requirement is the same for all of our semester courses. 17 and up is what we look for. And like I had mentioned before, you must be a high school graduate in order to complete our programs. But our summer programs are for ages 14 through 18, if you're not yet 17.
Okay, that answered both questions that we got.
Okay.
The other one was asking if you have to be a high school graduate. Does
Yes.
anyone else have any additional questions? Okay, I have another one from Ella. That is funny. What is the total tuition?
Great question. So it depends on which semester you choose because they are different lengths. But let me see. Let me see if I can remember this off the top of my head. The Coast to Coast expedition is $12,410. Don't quote me on that. But it is I can just look it up real quick. It's $12,710. The outdoor leadership semester is $10,310, and the residential semester is, I think, the same price as the outdoor leadership semester because it's the same number of days. But if you come for 35 days of the residential program, then it is half that price because it is half the length of the course. And we do offer scholarships as well. We accept applications for those on a rolling basis. You can find that on our webpage under, I think it says Fund My Course.
Okay, thank you for that. The next one is, when are the dates exactly for the courses?
Yeah, great question. So the start date for the outdoor leadership semester and coast to coast expedition is February 6th. And then the residential program starts, I want to say February 26th. Let me just check my calendar real quick. Yes, February 26th then is the start date of the residential semester. So it's just about a month after the beginning of the other two programs. And then the end date of that semester for the spring is going to be May 1st. So that will be the fly out date. But yeah, and I can also give dates for the fall semester too, if needed.
Okay, they do want the fall ones as well.
Yeah, of course. So the fall semester will be starting in 2024. That one will start on September 10th. And it will end December 5th. And the residential start date in the fall is October 1st.
Okay. Someone asked if you can please repost the contact information.
Yeah, of course. If I put it in the chat, will everyone be able to see or no?
Yes. Let me make sure it's turned on to everyone. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So someone asked, how heavy are the backpacks usually?
Great question. Depends on how much stuff you decide to pack. I like, for example, when I joined the hike this past semester, I brought a 45-liter backpack but all of the backpacks that we give the students are 70 liters. I guess that tells you how much space you have the ability to occupy. Some people pack like 2 outfits for the whole thing and then just worry about carrying their sleeping mat and their sleeping bag and then any food for the group, or whatever other group equipment they need to bring. Other people decide that they want to bring a lot of books and snacks, and their backpacks are heavier. So it's really hard to say exactly how heavy they are. It depends on what your packing style is.
Okay. Someone said, is there information on the summer program on the website? I have a 16-year-old.
Yeah. So I'm actually in the process right now of updating our website with all of our new summer 2024 dates, and I'm going to send out a whole announcement regarding that when we do post those. But you can, all of the information from this previous summer is in line with, the same types of courses that we will be offering, just on different dates. But yeah, you can find all of that information on our website as well.
Nice. Someone asked, what programs are available for high schoolers and how much are those? Okay, I guess we can look at the slide again, maybe, for the different courses.
Yeah, great question. So all of the summer courses, they are 2 weeks at minimum, or you can stay for up to 7 weeks. But we offer 3 different types of courses, either focusing on scuba, focusing on hiking, or focusing on surfing. And so those, like I said, are open to anyone ages 14 through 18.
Thank you for that. Someone asked, what is the funniest or best experience you've had on a course?
Oh, that's a good question. Funniest or best? Okay. So last semester, I went for a weekend while they were surfing in Dominicalito, which was where they were camping on the beach. And it's a really small community there. And so we got done surfing one day. The students are prepping dinner, they're chopping vegetables, we're playing music, dancing around, having a good time. And our neighbors, like at the neighboring campsite, we start to hear them like singing, and we're like, what is going on over there? And we realize that they're doing karaoke. And so I brought like 7 of the students over to the karaoke, and then we made friends with our neighbors. We started doing karaoke with them, and then after we did one song, they were like, another one, more songs, more English songs, please. And so we just spent the whole night doing karaoke with our neighbors, which was just a really fun experience, and not something that I ever thought was going to happen while I joined a surf course.
That is funny. I can just imagine them saying more English.
Right. It was awesome.
Okay, next question. How did you get your job? It sounds amazing.
That's an excellent question. I do really love my job. It is probably my favorite thing that I do here. And where did I find it? I think I found it on idealist.org, is like where they list a lot of like nonprofit jobs. And I just put in like, show me any jobs in all of Latin America. And I ended up here, and I don't regret a day of it.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a good search engine.
Yeah, there's also, if this is like the type of work that you're interested in, there's a Facebook group called Base Camp, and they are posting jobs in the outdoor industry like every single day. It's like people are looking for jobs, people are hiring for jobs. It's a really good network to be a part of if this is something that you think might be of interest to you.
Nice. Okay, next question is, how is the security/safety for the students at night?
Yeah, great question. So safety and security of students is obviously our number one priority at all times. So where I am right now in our Rainforest Base, we have the big gate that I showed you at the very beginning of the slide. And that gate stays closed at night, it's locked. We have a dog, Rafi, who also sits up at the gate and will bark incessantly if anyone tries to enter. But then down a very, very, very large hill is where the students stay, and that area stays locked as well. And then instructors are always nearby at any point. And so even if we're off base, and if, say, for example, we're hiking in an area that maybe one of our instructors isn't as familiar with, then we contract a guide for that specific area, just because we want to make sure that we are with someone that is a very knowledgeable expert of wherever we are at any point in time.
Great. Someone asks, for the summer programs, do they earn any certifications?
Great question. If you do the scuba program, then you can earn your basic or advanced open water certifications. If you choose to participate in the surf course, then they do a CPR and first aid, like lifeguarding course that you can get certified in.
Okay. Someone said, what about if you are a sophomore in high school, can you apply to these programs?
Yeah, so if you want to apply now and sort of get your foot in the door, that is you're more than welcome to do that. We, like I said before, we want the people participating in these semester programs to be high school graduates, but it's never too early to kind of, have your foot in the door and sort of put yourself on our radar so that we know, and we can gauge your interest in which program and just help you, guide you, and set you up for something like this. But like I said before, too, our summer programs are available to someone that would be a sophomore in high school right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. Okay, and our last question is, if the student is 17 before graduating, can they do the semester term?
If they're 17
Or
before
graduating high school?
Okay. Yeah, so that's something that we usually evaluate on like a case-by-case basis. And that our executive director would have to approve, but we have had that happen in the past where a student has presented us with information like that, and we've been like, yes, we can accommodate that. That's no problem.
Okay, we just got one more in. I want to become a marine biologist. What opportunities do you have for me?
Excellent question. I think our residential semester program is the one that spends the most time, I would say, focusing on marine biology. They'd really do a lot with the sea turtle conservation. And I would say like focus more on the biology aspect of things, whereas in the other semesters, they're more focused on the adventure-based activities. Our 2-week summer program that focuses on scuba also does an element of sea turtle conservation, but I would say that the semester program is like far more in depth than just the 2-week program.
Okay. Next, do you guys do any solo trips, and if so, for how long?
We don't do solo trips, so part of the safety aspect of our courses is that we keep all of our students with at least 2 instructors at all times. There is a solo element to our outdoor leadership and coast to coast expedition, and that is just that like we have like a solo expedition in the sense that we mark off spots for people in the reserve where we live here in the Rainforest Base, and you do like a 24 to 48 hour solo where you are just in the woods by yourself, having time to reflect, think, and just kind of be and connect with nature. You know, our instructors will walk by from afar, check on you, make sure you're safe. You'll have a whistle, you know where you are. You're not just like in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, it's just a nice opportunity for reflection, and that's kind of where we emphasize the solo time amidst our semester programs.
Okay. And someone asked lastly, where can they find the contact information again? And I do know that Ella put that in the chat.
Yes, it is semester at outwardboundcr.org. It's the best email to reach us at.
I will reshare it in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay. And that is it for our questions, but I do have a question for you. Can you share any of the scholarship requirements that they may need if they are interested in applying for one of the scholarships?
Yeah, so we don't have any requirements for our scholarship. It's just or like, do you mean like eligibility wise, or just like what is needed for the application?
I guess probably both.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I guess like eligibility wise, anyone is eligible to apply for our scholarships at any time. And then the components that we ask of that is just like sort of a personal statement regarding, your interest in the course and why you think you are deserving of the scholarship. And then there's like maybe just like a page or two of like filling out some of your basic information. And then I'll forward those to our scholarship committee. Our scholarship committee reviews that, and then I'll let you know based on your application, what percentage of your course tuition will be taken care of by us. And those are just scholarships that we offer as an organization. There are also scholarships available through places like the Gap Year Association, goabroad.com, things like that. There are other entities that offer scholarships for programs like this.
Okay. Well, that is it for me. Does anyone have any other additional questions? Okay, last call. So we are ending a little early. If anyone does not have any additional questions, Ella, if that is okay with you. If we do just receive any to us, we can just always forward them to you as well. Like I said in the beginning of this webinar, it is being recorded. And so if anyone had to leave or got in pretty late, it will be posted to our YouTube channel, which is NSHSS. And if we all have any other additional questions, I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. I appreciate your time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Ella.
Thanks, Alexis. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.